Hi everyone, welcome to John and Dad on Exploring China podcast. I'm a 10th grader in Hong Kong and I'm a bilingual, namely conversant in both English and Chinese. I'm very glad that this bilingual background of mine has led me to think of an exciting possibility of introducing you, the audience, to things Chinese in an in-depth way and not from that usual perspective. I hope you'll find this broadcast helpful in your exploration and understanding of things related to China, the country it is, the people living there, the culture it is distinguished with, and the civilization it is representative of. You guys have much to look forward to. One reason being I have a podcast partner who is perfectly complementary to me, my dad, Terry. I hope that my curious and useful inquiries, along with my interactions with my dad, will guide you through a productive journey of being interested in and updated with China, the Chinese, and Chineseness. Hi, Dad. Welcome to my podcast. Our podcast.
Hi, Sunny. Hi, everyone. So glad to be here. You know what, Sunny? You've just admirably touched on the core of our show with a concise yet very descriptive phrase, things related to China, the Chinese, and the Chineseness.
Really, Dad? Am I that to the point?
Oh yeah, Jonathan, you definitely are. As I now and then mention to you in our daily conversations, China is too big and abstract a concept to meaningfully cover for any serious discussions of the topic. So when I heard that you actually qualified the subject China with two more concepts having a close kinship to it, the Chinese and the Chineseness, I knew that you are going down a right path to understanding China in a conceptually general and perceptively concrete way, which I think is what our audience friends want and need.
Oh, thanks, Dad, for the compliment. To start with, guys, Terry, my dad, told me that he is from the generation who have benefited the most from what China has been doing since the last quarter of the last century, namely reform, 改革, and opening, 开放. Dad, why don't you give a brief self-introduction for the sake of our audience friends? Starting from there, being your little son, my empathy with your experience can only go just that far.
That sounds fair, Sunny. As we customarily divide time into present, past, and future, it is natural to start from now, then trace it back to where we came from and look forward to the days we will yet to have. For me, your dad, who's not a frontline business executive anymore, but keep my hand on the pulse of our time by running a think tank, my capabilities of doing so derives from my well-educated youthful years, enabled by my luck of being at good universities in China and in Britain, like Peking University and Oxford University. As you mentioned just now, my generation is the most fortunate one compared to our fathers and grandfathers in that we've grown up in a China which large, populous, and well-civilized historically, opened up to the outside world in a really modern sense. Therefore, the rapid economic growth curve propelled us to geographical locations and spiritual spheres not at all thought of by our fathers and grandfathers, sometimes not even by ourselves. So, Sunny, shall we start our dialogue on China from here? A China rapidly growing to a globally felt country within such a small space of time, like about 30 to 40 years, how it happened and why. In a discourse of this, we will, as it is deemed necessary and relevant, branch into the relevant fields and topics under the category which you have just designated, China, the Chinese, and the Chineseness.
That sounds super, Dad. Perhaps I can give a cue to your suggested way of telling by saying this. That I've just finished a 10-day summer camp at Hucha, a small village in Hebei province, geographically not that far from Beijing, China's capital, yet really a place of no recognition at all for an ordinary Chinese, let alone for a foreigner. The thing I'm thinking of, I guess relevant too, in relation to our conversation now is how come I came to the village for the camp activities as I did last year as a boy from Hong Kong and enjoyed it thoroughly. That tells how far flung China is, both spatially and temporally, right? I feel something more than that. Like, say, in your comparable age, what was it like in your life? Would you do something similar to what I do today?
Wow, that's a great thought by inference, Sunny. Yes, you guys now may take it for granted that a life as you are enjoying in Hong Kong is indeed what you naturally have to enjoy, and a journey to an inland place like Hushiha during your summer holidays is a natural diversion from your routine urban schooling and an enhancement of your personal experience as you grow both physically and intellectually. Whereas back in my comparable teenage years, all this sounded and was a faraway dream you could not even dream. Not realizing, of course, not realizing how could one foresee the future unless in a fairy tale. That when goddess fate performs, the performance leaves a powerful impact. Goddess fate was in mood after all, soon after I passed your present age. By that I mean I was, with so many of my generation, some older, some younger, thrown into contact with the outside world as China opened its door, welcoming trade, capital investments, and personnel exchanges. From that moment on, or to be precise, since 1978, China was no longer shrouded in isolated stagnation, started to shed its worldview of a traditional tributary system with China at its core for several thousand years, and of the international relations in which its people had collectively suffered military defeats and economic exploitation for the immediately past 100 years. So, Sunny, I agree that this is how we should start our conversation about China. A topic, an existence, a living organism which our audience friends may find easier to come across and understand as our discourse unfolds.
Sounds cool, Dad. This ends today's podcast episode. Stay tuned for more every week or so.